And corn, the oldest corn in America, was discovered at the foot of the Sierra Mazateca in Mexico. And it's about 8,000 years old and found in a cave there. So this belief system predates that, going back to the ghost dance. So when I was a boy, I was living on the streets, and I met an old Lakota man who at the time was a rodeo cowboy named John Fire Deer. And he was a pretty salty guy. And he was the one who first mentioned the ghost dance to me. And he said that he believed that there was no politician or people like that that were ever going to help the people and help us from the environmental destruction that's coming our way. But he believed there was something sacred and ancient in the ghost dance. But he felt that the people had lost the true steps to the dance. And he took me up in a mountain, and we ate peyote, and we did a vision ceremony, and in it, next morning he said, you need to go to Mexico. Well, I wasn't old enough to cross borders or anything, so I had to get fake ID and do this and all, and thus I went on my journey to find the ghost dance. And I got to Mexico, and in Mexico, in Oaxaca City in the market, I met a crazy Cuban guy named Cordova who claimed to be Fidel Castro's hairdresser. And he was in the market in Oaxaca, looked like a wild man, dressed in native clothes, playing his conga drum. The people were screaming and falling in the street. They'd never seen anything like this before. At the time in southern Mexico, me and him were probably the first two people they ever saw with long hair. Because there were tribes up north, and the Lacandones and Chiapas had long hair, but the Oaxacan Indians had back then more the bowl haircut. And he told me that he had a treasure map of this incredible treasure, which was on the back of a Taco Bell napkin. But I believed him, right? And I decided I was going to go off looking for this treasure. And the treasure took me to the Sierra Mazateca, where corn was first discovered. And in the Mazateca, I lived in a remote village called Dashki, and the people there for the first year told me nothing. Very little Spanish they spoke, so it was hard to really understand. There was a little Spanish, it was mostly Mazatec until I learned Mazatec. And every once in a while they go, Jesus Cristo, Jesus Cristo. After a year or two, I asked a friend, who is Jesus Cristo? And he said, oh, he lives in your pueblo, north of Mexico City in Rio, Colorado. And I started to realize these people had not a clue who Jesus Cristo was. It was just something passing through missionaries had spoke to them about. And they told me that there was a mushroom in the mountains that only grew in this one area where Quetzalcoatl died. And that this mushroom was their most sacred thing. Now, up until that time, I learned later on that the people, even in their same families, never ever mentioned the name of this mushroom, Dishidu. It was never mentioned. My oldest friend, Daniel, his mother was a Chinea cura of the region, and in his entire life, she never mentioned. That's how sacred it was. Mm-hmm. But at the same time while this was happening, R. Gordon Wasson's article about the magic mushroom in Maria Sabina had come out in Life magazine. So all of a sudden, hordes of people were pouring into Mopla de Jimenez on the other side of the mountain. And Keith Richards was there and George Harrison. It became a very big thing to eat the sacred mushroom. And actually this was the birth of the whole 60s psychedelic movement. It actually happened there in that mountain range is where the whole thing started. Timothy Leary found out about it, and he came down with Richard Albert, and they wrote The Psychedelic Experience about what happened, and the rest we know the story.